Welcome to Azure Radio Show. This is your host Shumail Gilani, aka Chef Gilani. This is actually our first episode for Azure for Research step-by-step series, and the topic we have selected is Data Science Jumpstart. And you can see that we will be recording these series in multiple chunks or multiple episodes. And the main reason is that since this is such a broad topic, we cannot cover it in one episode, and it's really not fair for you guys to watch it in one single episode. So we are breaking down in multiple episodes, and there is a particular reason for that. And in order to understand that reason, I believe I should give you a quick snapshot of the major portfolio that we are working around. So let me bring that portfolio here, and I should be able to explain you how this is gonna work. So if you see here, this represents actually the whole big Microsoft Azure Cloud for Research Services portfolio. And it's already starting to become not easy to understand because there is such a huge set of services and the portfolio available. It's time to break it down to understand it better, right? To understand it better, let me first horizontally divide this slide, right? So if I divide this slide horizontally, there is an upper part of this slide and there is a lower part of this slide. Let's understand this part. So what this part represents? This part represents that if either you are starting in the field of data science now, or you are already a subject matter expert in this data science field, no matter what your skill set and your journey is, or where you are in this journey of this field, you should be able to use Microsoft Azure Cloud for your research or data science needs. Let's understand this particular upper part of this slide. As I said, in this case, I know Microsoft Azure offers so many services, but my problem is that I'm just starting now. I'm not yet able to build the services out of it, but I might be the consumer of the services which Microsoft Cloud has already built for us. In my current role, I know my data, where the data is located, the nature of the data, the format of the data. I'm very well aware, or maybe slightly aware of the data that I'm going to use for this data science mission or data science objective. Therefore, I know my data, but my problem is that because I'm starting in the journey of this data science, I only know very few basic tools. If I'm on the certain areas such as Windows based tooling or the Linux based tooling, these are my client machines. I am using either the Linux system or the Windows systems. These are my basic tools. I only know the Notepad ++ on the Windows platform, or way more touch platforms on the Linux platform. So that's it. I know only these things. For me, what's in it for cloud, Microsoft Azure Cloud for Research? That's where we say that, okay, you can become the consumer of the great things, very easy to use things that we have already built for you. And whether your data science belongs to the conversational part of research, the predictive parts of the research, these services are built so easy to use. They're already there. Let's move forward. For example, no, I'm not starting now. I have been in this data science field for at least 3 to 6 months, or at least I have some exposure to data science, and I know more than these Notepad tools and the touch and Vim type tools. I know some programming also. That's where you start the journey as a builder, because now you can program these things. And we are not only going to offer you already pre-built AI, data and data science and all these services, but now you are going to start build these things, depending on the skills. So let's say you are a builder type 1 user, right? So you are B1 user, right? Meaning you know it, you know some programming, you know all the basic programming tool set, but now you can start on the builder side. Okay, let's move ahead a bit. For example, now you say, yeah, but now I'm matured enough. I have been at least 2 to 3 years in this field. I'm not a fully experienced subject matter expert who have spent their life 10, 15, 20 years in this field. But somewhere now I'm 4 to 5 years in this field. So now I need some advanced environments, right? So you can see that we have some other services offered, such as this service, and this service. But now, if I'm moving forward and really I'm really a subject matter expert, I can do all the sorts of programmings and the major platform in the data science. These are the tools, right? Look at this tool set. This is a very advanced tool set. You are really a subject matter expert if you are using this tooling. For you, yes, this is the service portfolio, most advanced service portfolio available. So basically, this upper part is saying, depending on your journey in data science, where are you in the skills and the tool sets, and now you want to quickly be jump started on the data science, in the field of the data science. The lower part of this slide actually says that we as Microsoft Azure Cloud for Research not only give you the services which gives you the jump start in the data science field or advanced service in the subject matter area, we actually can solve some other problems for you, which are a very common data science fields problem. Because yes, having a great tool set on my local machine, great idea. But now I'm in a client server environment. I need to operationalize these things for my organization. I'm now going out from my local machine environment, really on the operationalizing the things for my organization, where things will scale much better. Things will be much available in a better, highly available sense. Things will be much more disaster recoverable because my organization cannot handle some downtime or something. For those particular needs, these are the categories on the left side that we have divided. Anyways, so the whole idea is that let me build the scenario only for this episode. So the whole idea is every episode we will build some scenario, cover it, finish it. So one episode, one scenario, easy to learn, easy to digest, right? Now let's do a couple of things. Here you go. So we have a data scientist type user who is trying to use the Python or R based tool set on the client side. Linux or Windows is the operating system choice. It's a student, it's a faculty or a researcher. Genomics data is something, for example, is where the data science execution is required. The current machine is outdated now because it has less RAM or less CPU or less storage available. And the problem that we are trying to solve is that next purchase of a data science virtual machine, can it be not a physical machine purchase? Can the Microsoft Azure Cloud can have this provision as a virtual machine? So that we have to go to Azure Portal, create these virtual machines. What type of virtual machines? We can either SSH or RDP into those machines. And another value add part is to check that all these pre-packaged tools that which comes with it, right? But this is where the value add comes in, right? They are not plain vanilla virtual machines. They are already pre-equipped with those tool sets, and that's where your time saving can be there. Now what we need to do is we need to switch to Azure Portal, where we need to exercise this particular data science virtual machine for Linux or Windows creation. Okay, so this is what we call Azure Portal. Let me 1 second increase the size of the fonts. I believe this is much better because now this is first time you're seeing this portal maybe. So let's get familiar with the different feature sets here, right? How this interface works. So very first thing, very easy to use. This is your dashboard where all the major things are. There are the shortcuts to different features. There are shortcuts to different services that, for example, your data science virtual machine is a feature, it's a resource that is existing in this Microsoft Azure Cloud, and then you don't need to find that resource, you can pin that there. So this is a quick quickly, easily accessible dashboard for you. So this is Azure Portal, but the dashboard section, which is this is the part I'm talking about, right? Then let's come back to the topic where we had to create this Linux or Windows based virtual machine. So let's start with the Linux machine first, and then in the meantime, in parallel, we will also create the Windows machine. The process looks like this. Remember, I showed you the create process, right? In that create process, if you go there, let's create here a new resource, and you can see there's another search box is here, because although we have categorized the cloud services here on the left, from compute, storage, data, AI standpoint, and they are easy to discover. For example, this is compute related, these are database related, or get started, right? Sometimes there is a service which is really not here available or visible, and you are saying, oh, I heard that one of those services that you have. For example, data science virtual machine, I can start finding them in this search box, right? This is what we call Azure Marketplace. So all our first party and third party service integrations are available here. This is your menu to search those services, right? So data science virtual machines. When I enter this option, I am presented with all the possibilities to launch this machine, right? Different flavors of it, right? The one I will be focusing on for this is this data science virtual machine Ubuntu and this Windows version. So as I said, let's start with this Ubuntu one. Although you will see on the left hand side there are other flavors of data science virtual machine. For example, our geo AI related data science that you are doing, there is something more in this particular virtual machine images. So basically this is Azure gallery of images. And not only these two basic images are available, but something more is available, which means is that as soon as I, for example, click on this image as a selection, you will see that it's giving me an information that what is available in this virtual machine. If you start it up now, we will give you an account of Python already there, Jupyter there, deep learning and machine learning related frameworks are there, Julia is there, some SDKs are there, R and Python major support is there, right? So Spark server, Spark related tools are also there. So that means this machine is not a typical Ubuntu no tools installed machine. This is a machine already equipped with the data science tools on it. So all that patching the images, doing the updates through the what you call it, the package installers that you install, or running the pips yourself, we have done it for you. Yes, you have an option to update those tools once you log in into this machine, but it's very easy to go started already in a pristine condition to start the data science virtual machine. Enough tools available, right? So let's create this machine. By clicking the create doesn't mean created now you are entering into some of the question and answering mode, right? You are saying that which Azure subscription or the resource group you want. Don't worry, we will come to the subscription and the resource group part little later. For now, just select the subscription, for example this one, and I'm creating a new resource group, and I'm saying my data science resource group 1. For example, I'm saying I'm creating a group where all my data science related resources in Microsoft Cloud will be existing together, so that I can see them in one place and management is better, right? So I'm creating that resource group. Now what I'm doing is I'm trying to give the name to this machine, because this will be my first Ubuntu virtual machine on data science. So I will say my first data science virtual machine 1 on Ubuntu, right? So just say Ubi. So this is a good name. This is a great thing that you must know now a little bit about. So Microsoft Azure or Microsoft Cloud data centers are geographically distributed, and they are always available. They are global data centers, right? And the global data center locations all across the globe. For example, in North America's region, especially in the Americas region or US region, US geography, we have different regions available, east, west, north, south, 2 in the east, 2 in the west. We have a couple of together in the south and the north. So there are so many regions where the data centers are available. The better decision as of now, the decision to select the data center location for this virtual machine that I'm launching can depend on so many things and parameters, but for now, for me, it's very important it's most closest to my location. So for example, I am in Dallas right now, where I'm operating from my home place, right? So most probably the south central region is the closest data center. Let's find out it is there or not. But in order to avoid the guessing game from here, how about let's use one great website called azurespeed.com. So here I always take help from this website. It says azurespeed.com. When you click on this azurespeed.com and it opens up, you can check the Americas regions data center. When you click them, what will happen is from your machine, the packets will be hitting our data centers to check what is the millisecond level latency from your location where you are sending the packets, right? So if I check now, it's telling me the 3 closest data center location in the US geography is where I'm closest to South Central and Central and the North Central, right? So look at the millisecond latency level. Are these the only 3 data center locations? No, we have multiple locations, other locations also, right? But the problem is, if you notice that millisecond latency is much higher, right? That's what my point was. Like, select the location where when you do SSH, for example, you're talking to your machine in a more reduced latency, right? More closer, physically closer to you, right? So in this virtual machine, again, if you come back, let's find out the South Central region is there or not, right? So you can see it's on the top, South Central US region. So this is my region selection. We will come into the availability options, right? But let it be default here. Image selection, definitely, because you clicked on the Ubuntu image. That's why this image is default selected. So Azure gallery of images contains a lot of images, other images, right? You can see them here. Let's keep it all through this particular image selection for now. Keep moving forward. Here, spot instance we will cover. Leave this option as it is. This is the option I was talking about. That now your 8 gig machine, 8 gig RAM, which was not enough. Now you have an option. Oh, how much I want as a next step for now, for next 2 years or next 1 year or next 1 month, right? Depending on your growth. Here is the interface for selecting the size of the machine. We will go into these details, how these family types work, machine types, column work. But briefly, very briefly, if right now I want a higher memory machine family, I don't need to figure out myself. We have categorized them here. I say I want memory optimized SKUs, or the machine types we call them, and here I'm getting all the details that if you want a higher memory machines, then I have this particular option where I can get the dual core machines, mean 2 cores machine, virtual CPUs and cores. There is a discussion around it, but consider virtual CPU is the cores, how many cores of processing units you want. So it's a 2 core or dual core machine or dual CPU machine, right? Dual virtual CPU machine, and then it's giving you 14 gig of RAM, right? It's at least around double of that what you were using, right? And how many data disks beside an OS disk I can have. So I can have 8 disks of different sizes available and attachable to this particular machine size, right? When the need arises. We always will see that whenever we are launching a virtual machine in Azure Microsoft Cloud, we have a temporary storage available, meaning we always give you this temporary drive, which always is gonna be flushed out or made empty when you reboot the virtual machine. But the idea of this temporary storage is for different type of system level tasks. This temporary storage can make much faster and much more cached scenario. So we will discuss temporary disk, but don't worry, for now temporary disk information is this. Then it comes at what type of disk you want. There are some spinning disks here, which we call as standard disk. Then you have a static drive, SSD drives, right, which are much faster performing. So we call them Azure Premium type of disk, or the storage services, right? So standard storage, premium storage, ultra storage is also there. Yes, that's a topic we'll cover when we land into the storage space. But this is an example where a machine type determines that what you are gonna get from the compute, storage, network, memory wise, what is that machine type is gonna make sense. So let's, for example, here I'm totally interested in getting this machine, which is this machine. Let's say, for example, just for the change of thought, I'm saying I want this E series machine which has 2 cores, 16 gig of RAM and 4 data disks attachable, right? IOPS is input output per second throughput, right? This is your IOPS value, how much you can get it. So anyways, this, after this information, yes, this information is important, which is how much it will cost you monthly if you keep running it 24/7. We'll come to the pricing topic and all that what exactly how it looks like. So I will select this particular family type or the machine type. Once I have selected the size, one important question is being asked: how would you log in into this particular machine? Because this is a Linux machine, we have two options available. Either we just go plain username and password thing. Plain means username and password, not the plain password. Plain user authentication with the user and password. But because generally the Linux environments gives you an ability to assign the public private keys public part here, so you can always get the public part of your public private key as the key pair, and then insert it here, and next time you can authenticate it there. Here you are seeing one option that if you don't have already the key pair available, we can generate this for you, or Microsoft Cloud can generate that for you. But you can always use the existing public key of yours, right? Right now I don't have a public key handy, but I could have shown you. I will go with the password, username and password route. Make sense? Now let's go to admin user, for example. I like this name, or is better name. So data science user 1 and some password. Confirm the password. Then there are so many options you can change on the disk, networking and management side of it. I can give you a quick look here. For example, beside an OS disk, do you want any other data disk? For now I don't want that data disk because I want this as a demo machine now. On the networking side, that what your networking looks like, because in Azure or Microsoft Cloud you cannot launch a virtual machine until unless you define that what networking portion looks like. So you have an address space, and within that network address space you have a subnet and all that stuff. We will cover the network topic again, not the main topic for this episode, right? So here we have selected some virtual network. We are creating it, actually the new one, a new subnet with certain CIDR notations. And then here is the important part: any virtual machine in Azure can be launched with or without public IP address. Without public IP address, you have to have a private connectivity into Azure Cloud, which I don't have right now. The only way for me to is to come from outside as a public IP address identified through which I can do the SSH or RDP, right? So do you want public IP or not? Right now I want it. I don't have a private connectivity from my this home location to the data center location, right? So I'm going to select this, yes, give me a new public IP address so that I can do the SSH. Security is important, we will cover that. But here what ports are allowed to talk to into the machine, what outbound and inbound ports looks like. This is kind of a firewall information that you can connect with it. In Microsoft Cloud we call it network security groups, who can control the inbound and outbound rules here. So for now just leave it as it is. Here it is saying that it has already pre-configured rules for you, enough for you to start with, right? That total makes sense. Then do you want a load balance environment? Just leave this information as it is. We will come back to this topic. I was just trying to give you a flavor that how these interfaces looks like. You really don't need to go and everyone. Couple of things, yeah. There is a possibility you forgot to leave this machine up and running, and you are being charged for this compute environment because you forgot to shut it down. To avoid that situation, here is a great option on the management side, right? Then you auto shut it down at certain time of the day, every day. Even I forgot. That's a great option example that on the management side there are some options that you're seeing here. They are configurable. Make sense? Keep going. tags we will cover at some point. Anyways, up to the end, then tells you that have you answered all the question nicely or not. Right now it's saying validation pass, mean my answer to the question asked were enough to provision this virtual machine. Let's press the create button. This is the time when Azure will start creating this resource. That previous create button was about to start question answer, right? This create button is to deploy this machine, and you can see that on the top right the message came that now the deployment has started. So same thing, create this button, start answering this question. I will go complete this rather quickly as compared to the last time. Click go to resource button for now. When I click this go to resource button, this is the Linux data science virtual machine, remember. Now I have a public IP address which I asked for. I copy this public IP address and I will try to SSH into that. How I know that I can SSH on it? There is a connect button here, right? Look at this virtual machine name, and then this is the connect button. When I click on this and I say I want SSH information to connect with this machine, it is already saying what you need. You can SSH by giving your DS user ID. I did not give the public key, by the way, so I will only remove this part. But SSH username at the public IP address, very easy, right? So because now I don't have SSH on this machine, let's try to use this shell to connect with this machine. You want to try? Okay, go. So I'm connecting it. Hold on, I think this information was already here. So how about I copy this, and then I come here and I do shift insert. This command looks very simple, right? Or very familiar actually. I'm doing this, I'm doing this, I'm providing my password, and here you go, you are inside that machine, right? So this is the value of this shell area, that now you can use this if you don't have SSH or PuTTY and all those rules to connect the SSH environment, right? So let's check. If I fetch the directory, this is your directory. Here is the great thing about this. So for example, let's say I exit from this machine and then I exit from the shell. So that shell environment is gone, right? But you can always launch again the bash shell environment the way I did it first time. Here you go. And what I'm trying to show you is that when you come back to this environment, you don't have to type it again, because the same Linux state management or the command line state management is built into this, because this, as soon as I click on this command and I press up, look, all my commands that I issued, they are available with up arrow key and down arrow keys, right? So here you go, I do the SSH again, I can always do it again, right? So now that makes sense, right? Now you have SSH environment. So SSH is great, but I definitely showed you the value add tools packages there. So how to use those tools? So a couple of examples that I can give you for this particular Linux based data science virtual machine is, very first example is that I know there is a Jupyter server installed on this. There is a Jupyter installation on this machine. How I know that? I've used it, but how I know that is, if I find this virtual machine, the search box, my first data science virtual machine on Ubuntu, and let's minimize this for a time being. If I go to the networking side, you will notice that the inbound ports are open for a couple of things, right? 22 is open, and 8000 is open, 877 is open. Jupyter Hub is installed on port 8000. The Art Studio server is installed for you already. So this is not a client environment only, this is a great server machine also. Copy this public IP address, and then I will add this public IP address with HTTPS, and the port that I will call is 8000. Okay, and I call this, I'm here, And this Jupyter Hub environment is now asking me to prove the credentials. These are going to be the same credentials that I used to launch the machine. For now, you can always change it. So DS user 1, and here you go. So your Jupyter Hub environment is ready to start executing the Python notebooks without even doing SSH and all that stuff, because it's a server environment, right? Available to you from that particular data science virtual machine. Here you can either create your new notebook yourself. These are different notebooks are available, or you can go into one of the sample folder here and start running this sample Python, which is already there. And you can see that these are the different cells, right? This is a good example. So Azure ML core is being imported here, and some print messages, right? I can always change this check 2, and here you go, right? So you can see that this is nothing but a Jupyter environment, right? It's all up and running, available for you to use, start doing your Python work here, right? So we checked SSH, we checked the Jupyter Hub. You saw that our server is also available to use it. Another great thing is that we have installed an X2Go server, the GUI environment here, X2Go server here. So we will see that, but I did not show you that you can create your own Python notebook. So let's complete that first, and then we'll go into that topic. So first, what I'm doing is, this time what I'm doing is I'm going to say I want to create my own new notebook, right? And using Python 3.7, right? It's a blank notebook now. The command to check the particular the easiest command I can think of is that let's find the Python version running behind it, right? So what I can do is I can say from platform, I can import, I think I can import Python version library, import Python underscore version library, and then I can say print Python, print Python underscore version, and here you go, right? You can see that now this is available, right? And here you go. So that proves the point. So I was talking about that we have installed the X2Go server, the GUI available for the for this. So now what I will actually show you that now if you have an X2Go client installed, now you can connect to that Ubuntu machine as a GUI also, right? So here is how the X2Go client looks like. This is my X2Go client that I have installed on my machine. X2Go server part is already installed on the virtual machine side. So let's go there. If I remember the public IP address correctly, then let me create the new session. In this new session, I'm saying my host environment is this. Remember the public IP address? The user one is my DS user 1. Then I have 422 to connect with. What in the session type, you just have to select the XCFE protocol, right? XFCE protocol. That's how it works. So when I press OK and I say give me a new environment, my password remains same, which I'm keep using. I think this is gonna be a different session, which is, I think this is the one. Perfect. I go inside and now it's connecting. It will ask me a couple of more information here, and this is here you go. So now you can see here it is launching that X2Go server based GUI available. So what we saw that we can SSH into this data science virtual machine. We can use the Jupyter Hub and the R server now what we are seeing is you can use this virtual machine as a GUI also, right? So the graphical user interface, right, the desktop environment is installed there. Here you go, see that? Now you are talking into this GUI environment, right? Isn't it wonderful? So here you go, now you have this environment available here, right? This is the GUI available. So X2Go server on the server side is already there. X2Go client is something that you need to just install and do the authentication. Anyways, this Firefox is already installed there, right? Wonderful. Then we have, if you see on the desktop side, so you have couple of Squirrel, SQL, Azure Storage Explorer utility is there, RStudio client is there. So let's double click on this RStudio, right? This is RStudio. Here you go, launching, and here you go, right? So this is how it is. So let's do a couple of things, right? I can do our demo, right? So let's do demo, right? When I call this demo function, right? So this is a typical RStudio with the demo samples available. That shows you what is packaged in this data science virtual machine on Ubuntu ready. So thanks again for joining the Azure radio show, Azure for Research step by step. It's better if you subscribe the channel, because that's how you will get the updates automatically. Otherwise you have to come to the channel and find out what new episodes are available. So just press the subscribe button and here you go, you will be getting notified that as soon as the new episode is available here. Press the bell icon also, right, for the other notification side of the scene. So press subscribe, press the bell icon, and here you go, you're part of this subscription, very well notified when the new episode is available. With that, thank you very much for joining again, and we will see you with the next episode. Thank you very much for joining.